Captain Ava Reyes soared above the clouds in her fighter jet, enjoying the freedom of the open sky. It was a routine training exercise, just another day for one of the Air Force's top pilots. But as she glanced up, something caught her eye. The sky, usually an unbroken expanse of blue, had a jagged line running through it, like a crack in a pane of glass, along with a surreal glow of purple and orange. "What the hell is that?" Ava muttered, adjusting her visor to get a better look. It wasn't just a cloud formation or a trick of the light. It was a rift, shimmering with an iridescent glow, and as she flew closer, she realized she could see something beyond it. An alien landscape of towering spires and strange floating islands. Her radio crackled to life. Captain Reyes returned to the base immediately. The voice commanded, urgent and clipped. It was the voice of her commanding officer, but there was an edge of fear she had never heard before. Ava hesitated, her curiosity piqued. "Did you see that, sir? There's a..." "Now, Captain. That's an order." Reluctantly, Ava turned her jet back toward the base, but as she flew away, she couldn't shake the image of the rift in the sky and the alien world beyond. It was as if Earth's sky had cracked open, revealing a hidden reality that wasn't meant to be seen. Back on the ground, she was met by two men in dark suits who escorted her to a nondescript black SUV. They didn't speak as they drove her to a secure facility she had never seen before, tucked away in the mountains. Ava was led into a dimly lit conference room, where a tall woman with graying hair and a stern expression stood waiting. "Captain Reyes," the woman said. "I'm Dr. Morgan. Welcome to Project Horizon." "What's going on?" Ava demanded. "I saw something up there, a crack in the sky." Morgan nodded. "You saw correctly, but what you witnessed is only the beginning. These cracks are appearing all over the world, and they're getting wider. We detected an entirely different dimension on the other side, an alien civilization that's been trapped for centuries." Ava's mind reeled. Trapped? How is that even possible? Morgan's expression darkened. "We don't know, but we know that if the cracks continue to spread, it could mean the collapse of our own dimension. We need your skills, Captain. You've been selected for a mission to explore the other side and gather information. We need to understand what we're dealing with." Ava's heart raced with a mixture of fear and excitement. She had always dreamed of exploring the unknown, but this was beyond anything she had ever imagined. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," Morgan said. "And Captain, be prepared for anything. We don't know what's waiting for us on the other side." Ava nodded, steeling herself. She had no idea what she was about to face, but she knew one thing for sure. The sky was no longer a barrier. It was a gateway. The next day, Ava suited up in a pressure-resistant flight suit, specifically designed for the unknown conditions on the other side of the rift. She was briefed by a team of scientists and engineers who spoke in hushed tones about gravitational anomalies and interdimensional energy fields. The tension in the room was palpable. Ava boarded a modified aircraft, a sleek, black jet outfitted with advanced sensors and experimental technology. As the engines roared to life, she felt a familiar rush of adrenaline. But there was an undercurrent of fear this time. She was about to fly through a crack in reality itself. "Captain Reyes, you are go for launch." Director Morgan's voice crackled over the headset. "Roger that," Ava replied. She guided the jet into the sky, climbing higher and higher until she reached the rift. Up close, the crack was massive, stretching across the horizon like a jagged scar. The air around it simmered, distorting her view like heat waves rising off asphalt. "Crossing the threshold now," Ava reported, taking a deep breath as she pushed forward. The moment she passed through the rift, the world changed. It was as if she had flown into another universe. The sky was a deep purple, streaked with bands of green and gold. Strange crystalline structures floated in the distance, casting long shadows on the alien terrain below. The air felt different, thicker, almost buzzing with energy. Ava's sensors lit up with data. The atmosphere was breathable but filled with unknown particles. The readings were unlike anything she had seen on Earth. But before she could analyze further, her radar picked up movement. Something was approaching her jet, fast. A swarm of silver serpentine creatures shot past her, glinting in the strange light. They moved with the precision of a military formation, circling her jet in an intricate pattern. Ava's heart raced as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. "Control, do you read?" she called out. "I'm not alone here." There was a pause before Morgan's voice came through, laced with static. "We see them, Captain. Those are not humans, Be cautious. The creatures parted suddenly, making way for a larger figure, a humanoid shape, cloaked in a shimmering, translucent material. It seemed to study her for a moment before gesturing in a slow, deliberate motion that felt almost welcoming. Ava's instincts told her to retreat, but something else held her back. A sense of curiosity, of connection. She felt as if this being knew her, had been waiting for her arrival. "Who are you?" she whispered. The figure tilted its head and pointed up at the sky. Ava followed its gaze and saw another crack forming, larger this time. Through it she could glimpse Earth's blue sky. The being lowered its hand, pressing it to the center of its chest, as if in a gesture of a plea. "They're trapped," Ava realized aloud, "and they want our help." But as she hovered there, torn between worlds, a nagging thought crept into her mind. If the cracks were spreading, was it truly the aliens causing it? Or was something else to blame? She had a sickening feeling that the answer lay back on her own side of the sky, and so she continued to fly. Ava circled her jet, keeping a weary distance from the alien figure as she tried to process what she was seeing. The sky above her rippled with a patchwork of fractures, each crack revealing glimpses of a familiar blue sky of Earth. It was as if the very fabric of reality was fraying apart. The figure gestured again, this time pointing toward a floating structure, a massive, shimmering citadel suspended in the sky. Ava hesitated, her training screaming at her to retreat, but something deep inside her urged her forward. "Control," and following the signal she said, her voice tense, "Permission to proceed?" Director Morgan's response was delayed, filled with static. "Proceed," cautioned Captain Reyes, "but don't engage. We need information, not conflict." Ava pushed the throttle, guiding her jet toward the citadel. As she approached, the shimmering figure vanished, dissolving into a cascade of light. The citadel loomed closer, its surface covered in intricate patterns, almost like circuitry etched into crystal. Ava felt a strange pull, a sense of deja vu, as if she had seen this place before. She landed the jet on a flat platform at the base of the structure. As she disembarked, the air around her buzzed with energy. The moment her boots touched the surface, a wave of images flooded her mind. Flashes of experiments, scientists working frantically, and a device pulsing with dark, unstable energy. She stumbled back, clutching her head. "What is this?" she gasped. Suddenly the same humanoid figure reappeared before her. His form was clear now, less like a shadow and more like a being of pure light. He stepped closer, and this time Ava could hear a voice, not with her ears, but in her mind. "You did this," it said, the words filled with sorrow, not accusation. Ava's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean? We found the cracks. Your world is breaking into ours." The figure shook its head slowly, its eyes, if they could be called that, filled with ancient grief. "The cracks are not of our making. Your kind has tampered with forces beyond your understanding. The rift was created by your own experiments." Ava's blood ran cold as the realization hit her. "Dark energy," she whispered. "Our scientists have been experimenting with it for years, trying to harness its power, but they never understood the consequences." The figure nodded. "Your experiments pierced the veil between dimensions. We have been trapped here for centuries, but it was your kind who weakened the boundary." Ava's mind reeled. She had been led to believe that the aliens were the invaders, breaking into their world. But the truth was far more unsettling. Humanity had torn the fabric of reality, thrusting both civilizations into a conflict neither had sought. "We try to warn you," the figure continued, its voice filled with sorrow. "But now the cracks are widening. If they are not sealed, both of our worlds will collapse." Ava felt a wave of guilt and helplessness wash over her. "What can I do?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The figure gestured toward the sky, where another crack was forming, larger than anything she had ever seen before. "You must decide. Seal the rift and save your world, or help us escape and risk the destruction of your own." Ava stared up at the sky, her heart pounding. It was a choice she wasn't prepared to make, a burden too heavy for any one person. But the fate of two worlds now rested in her hands. Ava stood on the platform, her mind racing. The alien figure's words echoed in her head. Humanity had caused this, experimenting with dark energy without understanding its true nature. The cracks in the sky were their fault, not the fault of the beings trapped on the other side. She felt the weight of this revelation settle over her like a shroud. Her radio crackled. "Captain Reyes, report your findings," Director Morgan demanded, her voice sharp. "What's happening on the other side?" Ava hesitated, glancing at the figure standing beside her. She knew what she had to say, but it would change everything. The cracks weren't caused by the alien, she said slowly. They're the result of our own dark energy experiments. We've torn open the sky. There was a long, heavy silence on the other end. When Morgan spoke again, her voice was colder than Ava had ever heard. That's classified information, Captain. Return to base immediately. Ava's heart sank. You knew, she whispered. You knew this was our doing, and you sent me here anyway. We couldn't confirm it until now, Morgan replied. But it doesn't change the situation. Your orders are to seal the rift, whatever the cost. Ava clenched her fists, anger and frustration boiling inside her. If I seal the rift, these beings will be trapped here forever. It's not their fault we opened the cracks. We can't just abandon them. The survival of Earth comes first, Morgan snapped. Do your duty, Captain. The alien figure reached out, touching Ava's shoulder. The contact was light, almost comforting, but she could feel the desperation in its touch. Please, it whispered. We have been trapped here for eons. We only seek freedom. Ava closed her eyes, feeling the tears welling up. It was an impossible choice. Save her own world or give these beings a chance to escape, risking the destruction of Earth's environment in the process. She took a deep breath, opening her eyes to meet the alien's gaze. What happens if I help you, she asked. If you release us, the figure said. The cracks will widen briefly, before sealing shut. Your world may suffer, but it will heal. If you seal the rift now, we'll be trapped forever, and your scientists will continue their experiments until the sky shatters completely. Ava knew the truth then. The cracks would never stop appearing as long as humanity continued its reckless experiments. The only way to truly save both worlds was to end the cycle, to face the consequences of their actions. I'm sorry, Director, she said, her voice filled with resolve. I can't follow your orders. Before Morgan could respond, Ava activated the jet's release mechanism, sending a pulse of energy into the rift. The cracks widened, light pouring through as the alien figure dissolved into a wave of shimmering particles. For both our worlds, Ava whispered. Ava's jet shuddered violently as the rift expanded. The sky above split open, revealing a blinding light. She held her breath, waiting for the inevitable collapse, but then the light softened, fading into a warm, golden glow. The cracks began to seal themselves, the rift knitting back together as if it had never been there. She had done it. She had set them free. Captain Reyes, what have you done? Morgan's voice screamed over the radio. You've doomed us all. Ava shook her head, a small, sad smile on her lips. No, I haven't. I ended the cycle. We caused this. Now it's over. The sky above returned to the familiar blue, unbroken and serene. The alien landscape was gone, replaced by the endless expanse of Earth's atmosphere. Ava felt a strange sense of peace wash over her. She had made the hardest choice of her life, but it was the right one. As she turned her jet back toward home, she looked up at the sky one last time. It seemed different now, more vibrant, as if a veil had been lifted. The barrier between worlds was whole again, but she knew the memory of what lay beyond would stay with her forever. Goodbye, she whispered. Farewell to the being she had never truly known, but had saved all the same. But as she flew back toward Earth, she felt the weight of her decision lift, leaving her with a quiet, bittersweet hope.